2 of 2017 by Honorable John Aaron Mwau versus the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission and 2 others as consolidated is hereby dismissed. Petition number 4 of 2017, Njonjo Mue and another versus the chairperson of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission and 3 others as consolidated is also hereby dismissed. As a consequence, the presidential election of the 26th October is hereby upheld, as is the election of the 3rd respondent. Each party shall bear its own costs. As I have stated, a detailed reasoned judgment shall be issued within 21 days of this determination in conformity with Rule 23 of the Supreme Court Presidential Election Petition Rules 2017.
Yes, exactly. 21 days after the Supreme Court upheld Uhuru Kenyatta's presidential election victory, the judges will today give a detailed justification of that ruling. Although today's event may not necessarily be as eagerly awaited as the case was when the court nullified Kenyatta's election in August, it will be interesting to find out how the judges arrived at their decision. What was so right about the October 26th election as compared to what happened on August the 8th, a process that was later nullified? How different was the performance of Wafula Chebukati's team the second time around? This will be our main discussion today. But meanwhile, as we prepare to mark Jamhuri Day tomorrow, NASA supporters have been left gobsmacked by the turnaround of events with regard to Raila Odinga's swearing in that had been anticipated but will now not take place tomorrow as earlier planned. The NASA leadership yesterday announced that it had put off the plans to swear in its leader as president to a later date. Could this be an indication of possible dialogue between Odinga's team and Jubilee? What else could have informed this turn of events? What next for Raila Odinga? Now, even as we seek answers to the political happenings, we should also take time to pay attention to other matters of national concern. Today, on the eve of 12th of December, a date that traditionally marks the beginning of the festive season here in Kenya, serious concerns are being raised with regard to safety on our roads. This past weekend, at least 30 people died in separate road crashes. With holiday travel set to kick off in earnest this week and going to peak around the Christmas festivities, this is definitely a cause for worry, not just for the authorities, but for all Kenyans. Yes, welcome to Citizen Extra. My name is Fred Indimuli. Let's now get our county watch. Let's link up with our reporters across the country, starting in Nyeri. Martin Munene has been following up this issue of transport. Good morning, Martin. What's happening in Nyeri?
A very good morning to Fred Indimuli, and like you rightly put it, we are coming to you live from Nyeri County, and I am at one of the bus terminals in this county where we see vehicles coming from Nairobi and to Nairobi, and specifically I am at the 2NK stand, and we're going to be talking to one of the drivers and official to help us to actually put this whole transport thing into perspective. And like you said, we've had issues with safety on the roads, and of course as we near the festive season, of course we see changes in hike. We see a lot of traveling with people coming up country and also others coming from this region to moving to other regions. But I must say, Fred, as we speak, it is slowly picking up, but it is not yet the climax of how things get. And let us just speak to this particular driver, and he's going to help us understand exactly what is going on. Dereva, habari yako? Uko salama? Sasa nataka utueleze unaitwa nani, na utueleze tu kazi imekuwa namna gani.
Mimi naitwa Alex Meru Waboi. Kazi si mbaya. Kuanzia uchaguzi ulipotangazwa, kazi sasa imerejea.
Na labda sasa tuko karibu Christmas, na kazi inabadilikanga sana Christmas. Kumeona mabadiliko, fares zimebadilika ama kukwaje?
Fares zijabadilika bado, magari tuko nazo nyingi sasa na watu bado wamerejea, kazi iko sawa sasa. Bei hatujaongezea bado. Bei iko ya kawaida tu.
Na pia tumekuwa tukiona ajali sana zinatendeka wakati huu wa Christmas. Kumekuwa na challenges, kwa mfano unajua umekuwa ukifuata kwa habari. Kama labda kama 2NK, ni nini mnafanya kuhakikisha kwamba usalama wa abiria wenu umeshughulikiwa, na pia nyinyi kama dereva na labda wafanyikazi mko sawa?
Ile kitu tunatangaza ya kwamba ni usalama katika barabara zetu, na sisi tunatumia gadget zetu, gari zetu, kila gari ziko na gadget za kuangalia speed. Naomba au watu wa magari hizi dogo wenye wanaenda wakikunywa pombe kwa barabara, at least tuangaliwe hizo na hizo magari za miraa, at least ndio tupunguze hizo accidents. Yeah.
Na labda mmekuwa mkisumbuliwa sana na serikali sana kama sekta ya matatu. Labda polisi unahisi ni kwamba labda wanaangalia sana matatu, wanasahau haya magari mengine ama namna gani?
Hiyo iko hivyo. Polisi wanashughulikia matatu sana, hawashughuliki na hizo magari dogo. Wanashughulikia tu matatu juu matatu ndio wanaona ziko na pesa. Hawashughuliki mambo ya personal. Tugeomba hata hizo personal pia ziangaliwe. Juu hata hizo ndizo zinasababisha ajali.
Na labda ndio nikuache, naona umejaza gari ndo uweze kupeleka abiria. Swali la mwisho, labda kuendelea, unaona ni kama labda kama 2NK mtaweza kuongeza bei ama mtabaki tu hivyo kulingana na kazi?
Kulingana na vile kazi imekaa, bei hatuwezi tukaongezea juu magari tuko nazo nyingi. Kazi ndio hata itakuwa hamba. Magari tuko nazo nyingi, so bei sioni tukiongezea. Haya.
Sawa, asante na safari njema. All right. Fred Indimuli, one of the drivers and official of 2NK Sacco here in Nyeri, saying that as it is, the fares are still the same. But a very important point he's raising that the police on the roads concentrate so much on the public transport vehicles, but the other road users on the road who, and he feels that a focus should also actually shift to them, those who are using small vehicles or personal vehicles, but also trucks and other vehicles, because he's saying they're not the only people on the road. But he also feels that that maybe the reason the police or people on the road actually concentrate on the matatu sector is because they feel that they are out there to make money, and actually they do have money. And that is how the state is in terms of transport in this particular county. Back to you in studio, Fred Indimuli, Martin Monene in Nyeri County.
Thank you, Martin, for that update from Nyeri County, of course, to do with transport and the expected rise in movement from Nairobi to upcountry and vice versa as we move on towards the Christmas festivities. Let's move on now to Eldoret. John Wanyama, our reporter there, is on standby. John, a very good morning. It looks bright in Eldoret. What's happening? I do understand there's a situation at Nakumatt where you are.
A very good morning to you, Indimuli, and indeed here in Eldoret town, Uasin Gishu County. Behind me is in Nakumatt main branch here on Uganda Highway. And something that happened yesterday shocked several people, especially in this region, that workers of Nakumatt main branch here slept inside the supermarket yesterday after they had a rumor that the management was planning to remove all items from the supermarket, and they were planning to close down the supermarket today. So all workers yesterday decided that they are not going to leave the supermarket. They slept inside the supermarket just to ensure that they guard those goods so that they cannot be removed until they are paid their money. As we speak in Dimuli, they are still inside the supermarket, and the supermarket also is still closed. We are only waiting if the management can talk to us. They are claiming, employees are saying that they have not been paid for the last 6 months, and they are saying that, as you know, this is a festival month, and they are also planning to go home and have a celebration with their families. But so far they have not been paid their money, and they are saying they are not going to leave the supermarket until they are given their money. So in Dimuli, we are still waiting to see what will happen after this, where the management will come and talk to them so that they can open the supermarket. They can allow the management to remove their goods from the supermarket. Also in Dimuli, we will be also moving to transport section just to see how the people in the owners of transport section, what are they doing to ensure that during this festival season, what are they going to do to ensure they transport people safe and sound and they reach wherever they are going well. You remember in Dimuli, Eldoret Nakuru Highway is the most notorious road that has killed a lot of people in this in the few months ago, and as you know, the government also is very keen. What we want to know is, what are the owners of these matatus doing to ensure that when Kenyans are traveling during this festival season, they are safe and the measures they are put in place? In Dimuli.
Thank you, John. John Wanyama there with an update from Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County, to do with that situation at Nakumatt Supermarket, the Eldoret branch, as well as the transport situation there. Of course, we'll be coming back to you, John, for an update on what's happening at Nakumatt Eldoret. We do understand the workers spent the night inside the supermarket space, and they're still waiting for the management to come and open that supermarket today. Thank you, John. Let's now move on to other stories. Raila Odinga will not be having a parallel swearing-in event tomorrow after all. The National Super Alliance Coalition called off the controversial event yesterday evening. A statement read by Odinga's chief campaigner and Amani National Congress leader Musalia Mudavadi says a new date that will have installed Odinga as a rival president will be communicated later. Let's see the story by Stephen Leto.
The National Super Alliance boss Raila Odinga's self-declared intentions to be sworn in on Tuesday will not be realized after all, after his core principals called it off indefinitely this evening.
Following extensive internal consultations and engagement with a wide range of national and international interlocutors, the NASA leadership wishes to advise the NASA fraternity and the general public that the swearing-in of Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga and His Excellency Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka as President and Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya and the launch of the People's Assembly scheduled for Tuesday, 12th December, have been postponed to a later date.
The ceremony that was to run parallel with the 54th Jamhuri Day celebrations was to be staged in Mombasa's Tononoka grounds, with Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho having agreed to have Odinga and his running mate Kalonzo Musyoka take the oath of office at the coastal town.
We wish to thank the government and the people of Mombasa County who had graciously offered to host the event. Thank you very much, Mombasa.
Sources have revealed to Citizen TV that this evening decision was the product of protracted discussions between the NASA principals amid radically different standpoints on the matter. Raila Odinga is said to have been adamant that the swearing-in should proceed, while other NASA core principals developed cold feet and doubts of the legality and political logic behind it, arguing that swearing-in Odinga could potentially slide the country into chaos and tarnish the coalition's image internationally. Odinga has also been under intense pressure from foreign envoys and the charge to drop his bid. Today's turn of events watering down the momentum the ceremony had generated, especially after Odinga's pronouncements in Jacaranda grounds 2 weeks ago.
We are aware that this will be a disappointment to the people of Kenya who are eagerly waiting for this occasion. We wish to assure them that our resolve has not changed. Specifically, we wish to reiterate that any national dialogue must have electoral justice on the agenda.
It was also telling that Raila Odinga's ODM party did not sign the statement read by Mudavadi on the postponement, pointing to the possibility the NASA affiliate parties have not been reading from the same script.
There are only two options: democracy or self-determination. We shall be announcing the new dates for both the swearing-in ceremony and the launch of the People's Assembly, as well as more vigorous and prolonged resistance in the coming days.
It appears that the National Super Alliance has bowed down to pressure of calling off its planned swearing-in of Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka. What now remains to be seen is whether the move by the opposition alliance will lead to structured talks between the government and the opposition. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV, at the Okoa Kenya headquarters in Nairobi.
That story by Stephen Leto is one of the biggest talking points today, Raila's turnaround. In studio with me to discuss this, we do have Gabriel Mudhuma, Jubilee strategist, and Joseph Simeha, NASA strategist.
Yes, say that.
It's about strategy today. But talking about strategy, let's start with you, Gabriel. This turnaround,
Right.
in terms of strategy, at the last minute when people expected so much was going to happen tomorrow, in as far as NASA is concerned, in as far as the next move. In terms of strategy, what do you think of that?
One, and I think Semeha here will tell us more as to why they reached that decision, but I think it was quite an anti-climax coming from, you know, a day removed from the function itself happening. So from where I'm seated, I think it was something which was not foreseen. And I think they just ran to avert what I would call probably a major crisis. The reason I'm saying this is because it happened at the last hour. If we were told 3 or 4 days ago that they were not, or NASA was not going to swear in Raila Odinga, then probably would have said it was something which came as a strategy. Yes. But I think this was something which was unforeseen. Something critical happened, and they needed to,
something critical must have happened yesterday.
It must have happened.
Yes.
It must have happened, and probably that's what we need to learn why. I mean, you've seen even your media house and many other people, actually analysts, have actually speculated upon the communication that we received, which was also unsigned. We did not see ODM really feature much onto that as well.
And as a strategist, what would you say is the future of NASA, seeing that already such a serious statement that changes the game was not signed by one of the major parties in the coalition?
And actually, that's a major, I think that's what we need to be, that's where a lot of people will be speculating upon, us included. We would want to know, I mean, where was ODM in the grand scheme of things? We are told, Raila had pushed this thing to go on. Yes. If he was pushing it, then what happened? What broke the camel's back? Who developed cold feet? Those are some of the people we need to, we need to actually be talking about. And also, do we have legal minds who came up at the end of the day and said, no, we should not do this, given that we are receiving pressure from everywhere? Was there a voice or voices of reason that perpetrated upon the likes of Raila Odinga and other NASA enthusiasts who are core deep into ensuring this thing happened? Was there a voice of reason that said, no, you know what, I'm not party to this, and I don't want to be party to this because of 1, 2, 3. It's not constitutional, or don't we understand what the swearing in was all about? Because honestly, from where I'm seated, number one, it was not a strategy in itself for anybody to swear in another president. I mean, that was treason. That was treasonous. So we have to wait and see what was it. What were we swearing in Raila for?
Speaking from NASA's end, would you say that this was a wrong strategy from the word go, that even that pronouncement that there was going to be a parallel swearing-in ceremony or an alternate parallel swearing-in ceremony, that was the wrong strategy from the word go, and probably NASA and its leadership realized that a bit too late, and that's why they withdrew?
You are making propositions to me, yes. But actually using the very wrong words. First of all, when you say parallel, I don't know. I mean, I've heard the media use that word a lot, and it's completely
alternate,
wrong.
Probably, yes.
Because we are not measuring up to someone else or trying to compete with someone else. NASA has its political program, and it's not trying to see that it runs parallel to anything else. It just has its mainstream political program. So the word parallel is not right. Secondly, no, there's no regrets about what has happened in NASA right now. The only challenge could be how to handle, how to manage expectations of the membership, support, and so on of the NASA fraternity within the country and internationally. And that is something that was already being rolled out. Let me tell you for a fact that a lot of what you hear in the media, a lot of what you hear even Gabriel say, is based on pure speculation. Total speculation. And I can understand when there is no information, proper information out there in the public domain, sometimes people can't help it. Like I just heard your reporter there, Leto, I think, speculate a lot and talk about there being different standpoints between and amongst the leadership. It doesn't happen.
But it is a fact that that statement was not signed by a member of ODM. We can see signatures from members representing the other affiliate parties.
You just read too much into it. You didn't even see signatures, by the way. You saw names. There were no signatures on what you were seeing.
Then how come there was no name from ODM?
You just saw names there. And normally when something has been discussed and agreed in NASA, if you see it being presented by Musalia Mudavadi as chairman, national chairman of the campaign team, that is a NASA position being communicated. If you looked, you don't even have to look closely, you'd see Olekina standing behind Musalia. That's a member of ODM, a very senior member of the strategy and technical team. Isn't that much more than a name on a statement? There's some things that may be missed here and there, and they don't mean much. What was communicated yesterday was actually a statement of NASA, not of ANC, but of NASA, and ODM is firmly a member of NASA.
What would you say to that, to what Leto said in that report, that according to sources, Raila Odinga was not in agreement with this decision?
That's what I completely want to dismiss.
Yes.
When you see these people go public on anyone, especially these very critical, sensitive matters, it is normally after a lot of a lot of discussion, a lot of discourse by the technical teams and then by the political leadership, because a coalition is a very sensitive thing. None of them is allowed to go there and make a pronouncement on any matter that touches on all of them without consulting the others. In fact, sometimes you may even think you are making a pronouncement on a matter that touches on your party alone, like one of the party officials did on television not too long ago, and it roughs off people. You have to be extremely careful when you are managing a coalition. Coalitions are very delicate. So I can assure you that anytime you see any one of these leaders going out in the name of the coalition to make a statement, there have been consultations and agreement.
Okay.
But what people need to appreciate, which I know may be a little difficult for many people, is that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. A lot that when people are involved in delegate negotiations and so on, you don't throw into the public domain until a certain stage. And these negotiations are not just within NASA itself. It's between NASA and many other interested parties, let me call them, within this country and outside of this country. And so there are things that it's not yet time to bring them to the public domain.
Yes. You say that any pronouncement or announcement made by any of the NASA leadership is usually discussed behind closed doors, and there is an agreement.
Absolutely.
But it appears that this particular plan for swearing in doesn't look like it had been agreed upon fully. For example, when the NASA leader Raila Odinga made the pronouncement and said there will be a swearing in on the 12th of December, at that particular rally he was alone. The rest of the NASA leadership was not present. We've not heard the other leaders talking about the swearing in after that. So there was expectation, and there was also this feeling that Raila Odinga was more and more being seen with members of his own party, ODM, and not necessarily members of the wider NASA coalition, let's say members from Wiper, ANC, and Ford Kenya. What would you say to that?
I would tell you that, well, optics may sometimes communicate a factual picture, or sometimes you may not read the right message in optics. In fact, Raila Odinga, as a matter of fact, was not the first one to talk about this swearing in.
He is the one who said
he was not the first one. He was not the first one. Go back, it's even covered in the media. From the technical and strategy team, there were pronouncements, just that a date wasn't mentioned. In the next 10 days, you will see something.
He was the one who said on the
So, yes, so because the leader is allowed certain leverage, certain privileged positions, leaders, not just the leader, leaders to be the ones to make certain statements public, the whole sum of those statements public. But sometimes there's a build-up, which sometimes the media and other people miss. There was a build-up towards Raila Odinga saying the 12th. The people from the technical team had thrown out their hints. But let me tell you, the NASA coalition leadership is still very much, it's in for the whole hog. Anyone who imagines that it will break up, that anyone else has an alternative, they are completely wrong, because the power in NASA is not vested in these individual leaders. Is invested in the citizens of this nation, who are the ones even now who put extreme pressure. It will be suicidal, I'm telling you, for any one of these leaders to purport to move out of NASA. It will be totally suicidal for them, unless if they do that, perhaps if they want to exit the political leadership scene. So just based on that, each of these leaders, maybe one of them may wish, let me take this pragmatic step and go this direction. But the citizens, the supporters, the members of NASA, they are so totally together that it would be suicidal for any leader to take a wrong step and step aside.
Is there any such hint that there could be one or two leaders probably who are feeling that like they could step aside?
Not that I know of, but I want to tell you that in the history of our politics, that there are always cases of people who elevate their personal political interests above public broad shared interests. It would never be a surprise if any at whatever level in the coalition. But with regards to the principles, I have not seen any indication from any one of them that they have a problem. When there are disagreements, and of course there are disagreements in NASA, they come together, sit together as principals with the help of the technical teams, haggle, discuss, pull, push. And by the time they come out and issue a statement, it is a position of the coalition, but not a position of a part of the coalition.
Gabriel, as a political strategist, there's a word he's used that it would be suicidal politically for any of those NASA leaders to actually step out. But if I may use the same word on NASA and the decision they've done now, Wouldn't you say it is politically suicidal, the kind of move they just pulled?
Actually, it is. Actually, it is. And it's a two-edged sword. One, I'll start by telling you, Fred, that there was a committee that was put together to drive the swearing-in process, led by David D. That's not what we saw yesterday. Those are probably some of the people we'd have expected to come and tell us the dates have changed. We saw actually a different leadership. That's one. We also saw how it took to social media, including, I think I read a few bits here and there of Italy. And you could tell, you know, he probably, and this I'm speculating, he probably did not agree much with that which was announced yesterday, but we have to wait and see. Thirdly, and I think this is where this conversation would be headed, is the persons of Raila himself as a principal and Kalonzo Musyoka. And we need to question. From what we are told in Manzoni, Raila did not want to be sworn in. That's what came out. All right, that's what we read. Secondly, and we all know why Kalonzo is in Germany for family matters. He's actually been put, he has been putting out very clearly that he is concentrating on family issues. He's really not spoken much about the swearing-in process. So that's why I'm asking Fred Indemuli, and this is what we need to press and ask, and probably hope we'll get answers. Did the voice of reason prevail? Because you're looking at a historical precedence, and if I was Raila, I would never want to enter into that sphere again. All the way from 1992, where 82, where your name, you know, was put in the drawing boards of a treasonous act, and some of your friends actually were hanged. That particular hat has been with him throughout. In any election that he runs, you will hear somebody come out to the media and mention that. Did he want to probably wear that hat again? I doubt he would. Did Kalonzo Musyoka want to be remembered also as somebody who took or played around with some treasonous process? I don't think it would. We are discussing here, not fully well knowing whether they were going to be sworn in as president and deputy president of the Republic
was the indication.
of Kenya.
Even according to NASA principal Musalia Mudavadi, as he read the statement, he said they were going to
Fred,
be
let me
sworn
tell you
in
something.
as president
Mudavadi
of the
can
Republic.
talk whatever he wants to say. His name is not on the line. At the end of the day, the people who will take the fall is Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka. And I believe from where I'm seated, they do not want to play with that particular word. They don't want actually to play with that particular machinery. You know what? Raila actually was among, I mean, reading again from Manzoni, he actually stated that he had a name to guard. He had a reputation to guard. I mean, who's looking in? They sat the other day, or was it, I think last week, with the envoys. What was that discussion all about? Were they talking that, yes, we will continue, we'll go on and set up a parallel government, I'll be sworn in as a... Let's be very clear. The Constitution has stipulated, we are actually done with anything to do with the elections of a president and a deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. That has to be sink in very clearly. Joseph, so I think there is a voice of reason, and this is my view. There is a voice of reason that came up in these meetings, and most of the members, I believe, even including some of the principals, they don't want to be party to it.
Okay, and this question that Gabriel raises, was Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka, were they fully convinced about going through with this process of swearing in?
They are the leaders of NASA. They are the part of the principles of NASA. So when NASA puts forth a position, it is a position that they have signed on. They have not stopped. None of them have stopped being a principal of NASA. But let me put in context some insinuations that Gabriel has made. First of all, on the 1982 coup, attempted coup, the only regret, I tell you without fear of contradiction, that Raila's corner has is that he was associated but not properly informed. The only regret that many of us share is that that coup did not succeed. Kenya would probably be in a much better place if there had been political involvement to give leadership to many, many millions of Kenyans and many hundreds, perhaps thousands of soldiers who are fed up with what Moi was doing to this country. The only regret is that that coup was not properly guided for it to succeed. So when people speak the way they speak and they think they're throwing some some frightening thing at Raila, this thing called treason. I mean, they need to read history. He has been charged with treason before. He's not afraid of being this red herring thing, treason, treason, treason. When you are on course to liberate a nation, a country that has been, captured by forces that are retrogressive, you know what you are facing, and you take risks. You know that you are taking risks for which you are prepared. So it's time they knew that they actually accept that the NASA leadership is totally prepared for whatever they bring into their path.
What about on the issue of responsibility? Because Raila Odinga came out and promised his followers that he was going to be sworn in. He said it himself. Don't you think that even politically it would have been better for him to come out and tell his supporters in the same way that now this is not going to happen?
I was headed there. My second thing is that I was in Manzoni, in the Manzoni meeting personally, from beginning to the end. At no point did Raila Odinga say that I do not want to be sworn in. Raila Odinga proffered caution. He said, what we do, how we do it, where we do it, when we do it, is ours. We shouldn't accept to be pushed into doing anything extra constitutional or silly or something that could end up embarrassing them as a leadership and casting aspersions on their stature, right? But at no point do I remember Raila Odinga or any one of the other leaders walking away from the position of principle of him and Kalonzo Musyoka having been elected president and deputy on the 8th of August, and them making moves together with the NASA leadership and members through the People's Assembly's route to reclaim the people's right, the people's sovereignty and right to leadership and governance, how they want to be governed in this country. They never walked away from that in Manzoni. They have never walked away. The irony here is, Fred, people in Jubilee mourn louder than they're bereaved. People in Jubilee were the ones shouting, treason, whatnot. And from yesterday, they're the ones saying, why are you not going on? Yes. Why are you stepping back?
Because they want you to go. They want you to go on with what
I think we confuse them. I think we confuse them so much that they get frustrated because they just can't keep up with how we are doing our things. This is the NASA way of doing things, and we do not owe Jubilee any explanation or an apology.
The NASA way of doing things. The NASA way of doing things. You promise, you postpone, you postpone, you promise. No election will happen, election happens. No government will be sworn in, government goes and sworn in. Say we will do this, we will install, nothing happens. In fact, it is their people. Go to social media. Nazarites, if I may use that name, they are up in arms. I mean, some are saying, I've actually read a tweet there, I am done with you guys. I'm going back to Safaricom and I'm starting to use Brookside. To hell with you people. I mean, people are tired of the shenanigans that NASA is playing. But having said that, I think there's something that Simeka has said. If Raila was to be sworn in as a president of what you're calling the People's Assembly, nobody would care. I mean, how many presidents do we have? We have the president in JKUAT, I think. We have the president of Law Society of Kenya. We have the president of the Supreme Court, Justice Maraga. There are other presidencies that he can go for. But let me make this quite clear. Nobody in our constitution does not allow any person henceforth to be sworn in or inaugurated or installed, call it what you may, as the President of the Republic of Kenya. Okay. It is no longer up for grabs. It is done and dusted.
Yes.
Done.
Let's take a break there. When we come back, we'll continue discussing this issue because the question begs, what exactly happened yesterday? Is it the international community that prevailed upon NASA to make that decision? People say, some sections say that probably there were concerns of this continued use of the violence tag on NASA, and that raised concerns as well. The possibility of dialogue, because Musalia Mudavadi mentioned that in his statement. What was he responding to? And what happens to the People's Assembly as well, because that was to be launched as well, together with the swearing-in ceremony tomorrow. Those are the questions we'll be looking at. Let's now head to Kisumu. Laura Otieno is on standby with an update. A very good morning, Laura. It looks like there's quite some activity in Kisumu. What's happening, especially to do with transportation this festive season? Laura?
Yes, thank you very much, Fred, and good morning to you. And here in Kisumu, the transport sector is sort of picking up, of course, ahead of the festivities. We had seen quite an influx in the number of passengers, both going out of Kisumu and into Kisumu as well. And of course, Kisumu being a city in itself is a destination of sorts. First of all, it's a final destination to some people, and it's an entryway to the western side, the western front of the country. And of course, we want to focus on the transport sector itself, basically to talk to the stakeholders who are hands-on in that. And joining me right now is Gado Nyango, who's a dispatch manager at the Guardian. Leo tunaona kama hakuna magari mengi. Je, ni abiria wamekuwa wengi ama hali ni gani?
Magari ni mengi, lakini zingine zimeenda. Ni chache tu ndio zimebaki zinakuja kutoka station zingine. Lakini magari ni mengi. Sio eti ni mchache. Naona hata hizi siko na watu wako hapo kwa ofisi wamejaa, wanataka tu kutoka sasa hivi. Sawa sawa. Na
nyinyi kama watu ambao wako katika sekta ya uchukuzi, ni mikakati gani ambao mmeweka haswa kuzingatia kwamba road safety inazingatiwa na abiria zenu? Je, mnawapea zile advice ya kwamba wanafaa kufunga seat belt na vitu kama hizo?
Yenyewe sasa ile mtu anasafiri lazima afunge seat belt. Na seat belt zetu siko sawa. Ukifunga tu seat belt uko safe. Huh?
Okay, thank you very much, Gad. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for talking to Citizen TV. And yes, Freddie Ndeboli, as you can see behind me, there are people who are moving goods as well. Those are goods. This is the dispatch section of one of the courier services in this place. And behind me also, there's another transporter on that other side, on my extreme right. And we are seeing we're seeing some buses coming in, but it's not the usual number that we see here. And Gad, of course, is expressing his confidence that there are enough vehicles to transport people in and out of Kisumu. And Kisumu as well, Fred, this being a lakeside city, water transport is also quite an issue. And we have spoken to some people who have said that boats and ferries are being used very much, transporting people and goods from here to Homa Bay and also to Uganda. So therefore, the transport sector is quite thriving ahead of the festivities next week and beyond.
Thank you, Laura, for that update from Kisumu with regard to the transportation, of course, as we get into the festive season. I remember immediately after 12th of December in Kenya, traditionally, that marks the beginning of the festive season and Christmas trees come up. Also, more and more people start traveling up country, some of them from up country towards urban areas as they get to enjoy their Christmas and New Year's festivities. Also happening in Nairobi, CS for Education, Dr. Fred Matiang'i will be attending a graduation ceremony this morning. We do have pictures as well from there, live pictures there. He's attending a graduation for AMREF International Training Center. We'll be getting an update from there in a short while. For now, let's take a break. When we come back, we continue with our discussions here in studio.